Hey guys, it's Ax. It is Saturday, May 27th, and I wanted to go over the PCRIs after a couple weeks of sort of chop and grind action. It's really, from the beginning of April until the end of May, we basically had 2 months of chop at a high, which is the most we've really had since, November, December of 22. But this is a little bit, we're making higher lows and higher highs here. So it's probably, we haven't really done this since, gosh, the bull market. Gosh, it looks a lot like May. It doesn't it? May 21. Anyway, so I wanted to go over, some quick thoughts on the PCRIs. There's not a lot to cover here because, nothing's changed really since the last couple of videos. I said if we were going to grind higher as far as price goes, the PCRIs are going to grind lower. And it's, you can see multiple entries into capitulation or near it. We're sort of back and forth, bull cross, bear cross. And really until these start printing a clear reversal, a sort of like higher low, I guess, that holds. I'm really considering these little crossovers to be a non-event. We did come very close. I think it was right around here, middle of May, to getting like a 2 or 3 out of 4 sell signal, but it did not. The timing was off, and I just felt like we didn't see confirmation on the selling. There was very little selling, and then we sort of had another event here. Where was it? We attempted one. We were close on the 24th, but again, we're not in sync. And so as a result, because the positioning is mixed, it doesn't really give us the recipe we need for what I would call a sell event. And really, and I posted in the individual charts, this curving MA needs to come down into this red line basically, or near it. Maybe, we definitely probably need to see these other indicators much lower, and that will build us the positioning we need to see any sort of sell signal. But even then, who knows, the structure of the market is changing over time, and that sell signal may not manifest like it did before, where it's like a massive, 10%, 15% drop. We'll see what happens, but I don't want to, we've been long enough from really any sort of major sell signal. The last one we had was in August of 2022, and so we had one in right at the beginning of the bear market, and then one like halfway through. So this to me, as we grind, especially as we get above SPX 4168, 70, and we move into breakout zone, I've always said we might fill this liquidity zone around 4280. If you've been around long enough, you'll remember that. And then we'll see what happens. But we've got like a clear recovery channel here. Some might view it as a bear flag. To me, it's not really a bear flag because it's just too long in duration, and we're moving above key critical levels. And so to me, it's just more of a channel, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, so the PCRs are grinding down. You can see we printed a lower low, local low, back on the put call ratio, and it matches sort of what we saw in February of 2023. It matches sort of what we saw here in August of 2022, March of 22. So there's a possibility here we could build a top, but back then we were near euphoria, whereas here on this sort of like fear greed line, we're far from it. So for me at this point, because I think we're closer to something like this. We're chopping around. When I say something like this, I'm talking about November 2022. I think we're closer to something like that than we are to say something like June of 2022. We've seen that sort of invalidated. You can see it's pretty clear. If I scroll back here, it's not all that dissimilar from. Sorry about that ad. Again, this is my account that I use. It's an old account that I use because I have 3 of these running at the same time for different charts. But anyway, even in February of 2020, we had basically all the indicators lining up for a sell signal, and that included this top one here, and this top one's sort of pivotal. So anything, while it's above that red line there, I just don't see anything as being an eventful sell. I could be wrong, but to me, until we get down to euphoria and under that euphoria, we're seeing like the big money build short positions. I just don't see any value in expecting a big sell. I could be wrong, been wrong before, but I just don't see it. I think we're closer to like a slow grind and melt up April of 2019. You can see the structures are all very similar. Coming out of COVID in May, we saw some chop similar chop in February of 19. So I think this is more of a recovery structure than anything. We've got the channel here. We're making higher lows. We're nowhere near a sell signal here. We just printed a lower low, and yeah, it matches these topping formations, but look how long it took to top in December. And so I don't really give that any credence, especially because we're making higher local highs. So I think the structure is resetting a little bit. I think we're just going to have to wait. And this could take time. It could, we're talking June, July. It depends on, on how things sync up. But I'm waiting for sort of a red line here and a red line here before we worry about sell signals. So for now, it's buy the dip for me. We may get some selling. I'm not saying we're not going to, we could get 100, 200 points, but I don't think we're going to get 5, 10%. We would see that here, and there's just nothing indicative of major bearish positioning. And so all those people who are short right now, they might be able to get out for break even, but I really struggle to justify any sort of major short position here. So that's that on the PCRIs. I hope that helps. We will continue to update as the market updates. Thanks.